Just remove the destination from broadcast and re-add it. Okay. Oh, merciful. Am I live? Looks like I'm live and in living color. We're going to start this all over because things just ain't working like they ought to work. Hello, Lou. Guess who's coming to dinner? Derby, as we say here in the Ville, we say happy Derby. As you can see, I've been out and about today. Sorry about being late, but I have to still go and be amongst the people. Welcome to Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I'm your host, Janis Carter Miller. My head got tilted. No, it's not tilted. And today is a very special day. I get to talk about one of my most favorite people. My most favorite people in the whole wide world is my mother. My mother's name is Emmalee Covington. Emmalee Monroe Carter Covington. My mother got her wings back in 2019. And in celebration of Mother's Day, I want to talk about mothers and daughters. So who better than to talk about than my very own mother, Miss M. I'll tell you a little bit about my mom. My mom lost her mother when she was like 8 years old. So now this is a woman who was raised by her siblings for a large part of her adult life. Her grandmother, her paternal grandmother, raised her while she was down in Mississippi. Yes, my mother's from Vicksburg, Mississippi. She's a Mississippi girl. And I don't like how my hat is tilted. There we go. Miss Emily say you got to tilt that hat. My mama was a hat lady. So in honor of my mother, I must wear a hat. And Derby is all about the hats. So we're talking about Mother's Day. Mother's Day is this Sunday. It's kind of fast for after Derby. Usually Mother's Day is the following Sunday. But it's this Sunday, May 8th. And so talking about mothers, honor thy mother. My mother was a woman that allowed me to do everything I thought I wanted to do. I wanted to be a cheerleader, go home. I wanted to run track, go ahead. Want to play basketball. Go ahead, Janis. I play softball. I was an athlete, and my mother was very supportive of everything that I wanted to do. She told me once that her girlfriends asked her once, "So everything that Janis asked you to do, you let her?" And she says, "Well, pretty much, because if she thinks she can do it, she says, I let her go for it." And most of the time, I must admit, I was successful. So I had a mother who was very supportive of my ambition. But I had a mother that also saw something in me that I wasn't paying much attention to. See, my mother is the one, I guess you'd say, who noticed that I could sing. And um, and the way she nurtured that in her own subtle way is just to nicely ask me to come sing at her church for, say, a tea. And then, maybe somebody passed away and would I come sing a solo? And then somebody else is getting married and they said, ask Janis if she'll sing. So I would do these things. I do these things for my mother, because she thought I could. She wanted me to. So I wanted to please my mother. Um, and as time went on, and when I got ready to graduate from high school, um, I entered into the Miss Exposition pageant, the Louisville Defender Exposition pageant at that. And because at that time, Louisville had the biggest Black expo in the country. Let's be clear. A lot of people don't even know that. They think it was always in Indianapolis. No, it was not. See, the thing that happened is Louisville went to sleep and Naptown woke up. Everything that we had, they have now, and we lost. We had a pro basketball team, the Kentucky Colonels. Now they've got the Pacers and they've got the Colts. And we have no professional teams. We've got our soccer. That's wonderful. But we had all of the other sports. And except for football, we didn't have a professional football team. So we patronize our Louisville Cardinals. And I guess now we patronize Bellarmine. Bellarmine's on the ball, So kudos to Bellarmine. But back to Miss M. I was saying about the Miss Exposition pageant, which one of my mother's girlfriends was a jazz singer. Her name was Doris Johnson. We called her DJ. And DJ called me one day and she said, "Little mama," she said, "have you ever thought about being in the Miss Exposition pageant?" And I used to read about it and in the paper, but I never said anything. I said, "Yeah, I thought about it." She says, "Well, what do you think?" I said, "Well, I think, those types of contests are probably fixed so one of the girls knows somebody and they get to win, that somebody may pay for something or, that kind of thing." And she said, "No, no, 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 no." She said, "Well, listen, what I want to know is, would you like to be in the Miss Exposition pageant?" I said, "Well, it's over." That's how much I was keeping up with it. I knew the deadline had come and gone. And so DJ said, would you like to be in it?" I said, "Well, I don't know." She said, "Look, go down to the Y on 10th Street and just sit in the back and just watch and see what you think, if it's something that you'd like to do or not. And then, call me when you get back home." So I caught the bus. I went to the Y, sat in the back, and I watched. And they were doing monologues and all different types of talent. And when I came back, I called Miss DJ and she said, "Well, what do you think?" I said, "Well, I, I didn't see anybody that was any more talented than I am." So she said, "Well, do you think you want to be in it?" So I said, "I don't know." She said, "Just answer the question." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "I'll call you back." She called me back and she said, "So next Saturday you go to the rehearsal because you can be in the contest. Long story short, I was in the contest. I won, which gave me a scholarship to go to Kentucky State. And this kind of was a boost to my confidence. Not that I was short on confidence, but Louisville is a kind of city that peer pressure was running rampant back in the day. It probably still does. That's why our children have so many problems. That's why we're going through the crisis of crime. But it was always somebody, talking about people, and I didn't care for that anyway. And so my brother had a problem. He didn't want his friends to say anything about me. And my mother said, well, don't you try to discourage her from being in the contest because you're worried about what your friends are going to say. She said, don't ever discourage her. So I went on and got into the contest. Well, I'm all of 12, 12, and 12. I wore glasses. Um, wasn't a raving beauty. I was just a different looking little teenager. So anyway, my mother made sure that I had everything I needed to be in this pageant. You know, win, lose, or draw, she was there. And the last night when they called out the winner to the pageant, my mother was sitting in the audience, clean as the Board of Health, with a black polissoir silk suit on and a safari hat turned up on this end and flipped down on this end with a leopard stripe, leopard dots around it. And I hit a bad note when I was singing. And I looked at my mother and she winked. And so I kept singing and I got on key and the audience got quiet. Well, I said, well, maybe I can sing. That was the first time that I paid attention to me being able to sing. So, my mother and I were very close. I moved back to Louisville in 2004 to be with her, not to take care of her, but to be with her because she was not ill. She had a vibrant life. She had been president of the Western Regional Kentucky Lay Association for several years. She was big in her church. She was a fashionista. She was a part of the Ebony's Women's Social Club, who brought the Ebony Fashion Fair to Louisville every year, Thanksgiving Day weekend. Do you remember? So my mom was, she had a vibrant life of her own. And just to give you an idea of when I returned home, these are some photos that I wanted to show you about my mom and I and how much we hung out together. Okay, so we're going to do this. And we're going to put that up. And we're going to make this bigger. And so what we're going to do here is, okay, just give me a second. I have to figure out how to maneuver all this. Okay. All right. And so we're going to do this. All right. So I'm trying to do the full screen. There we go. This is a picture. I'm going to tell you about where we were, what we were doing. My mother was married to a Munford Point Marine. And this is the day that she received his Congressional Medal of Honor given by Mayor Greg Fisher and Congressman John Yarmouth. This is me and my mother and one of her best friends and her daughter, uh, Miss Bessie Stevens, and her daughter Rosemary. I was receiving an award for women in music given out at Actors Theater. And as you can see, Miss M is bright and cheerful. This is my mother and I at the Mumford Point Marine, which is called the Covington Hagen Scholarship Fund dinner. They give scholarships to youth that may be in the ROTC, interested in armed services. And every year, my mother and I went because my stepfather, his name is on it. So naturally, as his widow, she receives that honor as well. Okay, and then we've got my mom and I at the Kentucky Center for African American Heritage. We went, they had a exhibition, an exhibit of all the Louisville musicians, singers, Hazel Miller, and this is the New Birth. That's the group that I was in when I started my career. And there I am, actually. I can't tell who that is right there. But that's me and Miss M. This is after my mother became ill. She had dementia, but she was still vibrant, happy and smiling all the time. This is one of my mother's birthdays out at a restaurant. This is my mother with me when I got married, which she was very happy about. I think she fell in love with my husband before I did. So she was definitely one of his cheerleaders. Ain't that right, Jack Miller? This is my mom and I at my family reunion, Heron Bradford family reunion in Atlanta, Georgia, 2010. Me and Miss Sim. And this is me and my mom here. We're at the Delta Day of the Races. No, it's not actually Delta Day of the Races. This is Memorial Day. And I sang the national anthem as they were honoring the veterans. And that's my girlfriend, Jackie Johnson. And we just lost this young man, my dear friend and church member, Dwayne Haynes. He was also the president of Shawnee Alumni Association. He lost his life in a very serious car accident. Well, actually a hit and run accident. And this is Miss M at her 90th birthday party. So those were just a few pictures because I wanted to honor my mother today. Because come Sunday, this back. Come Sunday, I wanted to have already made this recording so that you can think about your parents. And a lot of times we have to document how much we love our parents and honor them because they are to be honored, living or deceased. How you carry yourself while they are here or even when they are gone. It's very important that we always pay homage to our parents in that way. The way that their legacy is how we carry on with our legacy. What kind of person you are, what kind of character you have, how you present yourself in public, those types of things. So I wanted to acknowledge my mother. And one of the things I wanted to say is I had another piece that I wanted to do. I won't say all of what it is, but sometime in the very near future, I've been working on a documentary about my life. It started out about my life, the documentary did, but it ended up about my mother's life. It ended up more about me being my mother's caregiver and how my mother navigated having dementia and the things that, I stopped performing to look after my mom because I had a good run. I was out there for about 50 years. I'm not done. But at that point in time, the most important person in my life was my mother and her care and having the quality of life that she deserved because she gave me everything I could have ever asked for. She was my support system like none other. Like I put in the description for the show, she was one of a kind, one in a million. I had a mother that raised me. You know, our children aren't raised. My mother raised me. I know about honor. I know about respect. And that's what Mother's Day is all about, is that we give our respects to our mothers. Um, I have a lot of friends that have daughters and they have bonds like my mother and I did. Miss Ruby Hyde and her daughters, Nishan and I've forgotten the other daughter's name. Forgive me. Um, Nishan. And then I've got my cousin Donette and her daughters, Stacy and Stephanie. They're doing wonderful things. I've got my girlfriend Teresa Ratliff and her fabulous daughter Rosalind. That's a mother-daughter team that both have been in the armed services. It's kind of like Roz followed in Teresa's footsteps, and Roz is doing great things. Mwah. I'm sending my love out to all of you. I've got a cousin Belinda out in California, and she and her fabulous daughter, my cousin Peaches and her daughter Miss Jackie. I'm just trying to think of people that the mother-daughter relationships that I know about, Natalie and Nancy Joe. Who else? Miss Libby and her daughters. Um, so having daughters, Jackie Johnson and her daughter, it's very important that you acknowledge mothers and daughters acknowledge mothers and what mothers do for them, and mothers do the same thing. They support their daughters. That's what mothers do. So I just wanted to say to everyone within the sound of my voice, Happy Mother's Day. I hope you enjoy it. Take time out to do something special to make your mother feel special. I don't have to tell people that because I'm quite sure you know that that's what you're supposed to do, because that's what the day is all about. But they should feel special every day. Every day should be Mother's Day. And on that note, I want to say it's dinner time. Bon appetit. I'll run this again on Friday, and I may run it again next Mother's Day, just as a special viewing. So, to all you mothers, God bless you. Stay safe, be well, and bon appetit. Ciao.